Today we're going to be changing the rocker cover gasket on the M44 engine in our E36 compact. Now the M44 engine was used in compacts, E36s and in some of the early E46s as well. This would be well worth it for a lot of people to have a look at. Now this is our E36 compact that we bought on a whim and have been giving a bit of love to lately. If you look back at the playlist, you'll see recently it failed its MOT. Since then we've done a bit of work on it and we'll bring you up to date with where we're at with this car now. We haven't just randomly found this as an issue. In reality, this car has just had its UK safety check, the MOT, and a few things came up on that. And before that, like everybody else, you get ready for the MOT, you give the car a service, you make sure you're going to have it as good as you can for the actual MOT. And we found a few faults, one of which was this leaking gasket. And the spark plug holes actually had oil in them and we could see oil down the front of the engine. Wasn't massive, but it was enough for us to be a concern. The other problem that we found is one of the rear springs was actually snapped. Now, we replaced that spring, but on the MOT, they did pick up that the front coil springs were looking fairly ropey as an advisory. So if you look at our previous videos, you'll see we've replaced the lot with HSD coilovers. Now, the main thing that this car failed on was actually on emissions. It had too much carbon monoxide. Now, we think that that's because of a lambda sensor, and I'll show you the lambda sensor that we pulled out of it. You'll see why we think that. But in checking the spark plugs as well, which is a thing that could be feeding into poor emissions, we found that the oil in the spark plug wells might be causing a bit of a misfire. Ergo, we're going to get on with this job. To be honest, the car has had a bit of a misfire. It stumbled a little bit occasionally at idle, and it always started by having to clear its throat in the mornings, and we thought that was going to be a vacuum leak. So, having exposed the HT leads, what we need to do now is remove all of them and move the coil pack out of the way so that we can actually get at the actual rocker cover itself. Lovely little tool. And handily, on this set, they're all numbered, so we shouldn't put them back in the wrong place, but we might try. This plastic tray comes out and these wires are actually in a slot just to retain them at the back end. It's worth at this point noting which way round they go, and this is just held in by little tabs, and you do want to be careful because this will probably be very brittle because it's had a hard life in a hot engine. There we go, put it safe. And now we can have a look, and oh yes, there's definitely oil in that one. Tidgy bit in there, but nothing worth talking about, and the two at the back are clean. Now, we cleaned all this out about a week ago when we put new plugs in for the service, so I knew that oil's fresh. Now, the good thing here is the kit that comes for the rocker cover gasket has one that goes all the way around the outside, so the little leak that we can see down at the front here, and we think there's one at the back, should cure that. But each of the wells for the spark plugs has an individual seal, and obviously this one's definitely gone. So we replace that and we'll solve that problem as well. And it's actually quite a high quality kit because it also comes with the ones for the bolts as well, which not all of the kits do. But I will link it in the description. And as a bonus feature for those of you that like a bit of archaeology like me, this is a 180,000 mile engine. I wonder what the cams are going to look like. There are 15 of these holding it in, a breather pipe, there's a couple of nuts that hold a plastic bracket on this side that's got these HT wires going around this side. But before I do any of that, I'm just going to undo these and see if I can loosen this to give myself a bit more room. 8mm, nothing much. And don't spend more time taking the under tray off looking for the nuts and bolts you've dropped. Take care at this stage. There we go, I think we can work around that there and then move it over here. It'll be fine. This is one of the nuts you have to loosen off. When you loosen it, this bracket that's got the wiring in it pulls up and out off of the rocker cover head. And there's two of these, one there and the other one's over near where the coils are. And once you've slackened it off, it just slides out like that. So just get the other back one out as well. And then we'll just leave that there and put it back on when we put this back on. And next, take this breather off, give it a little bit of lubricant, hopefully that'll help to ease it. And it's got like a metalish collar, so you want to just try, and do remember it will be delicate. So the next thing to do is to undo all these 10mm bolts. I'll just loosen them all first of all by hand, and then I'll perhaps just use a gun to take them out the rest of the way. It's the way it goes. The bolts aren't captive, but they have a rubber seal on them, which would be very difficult to pull them out, so which is why I've left them in. I'll just whip round and take them all out now. We've got the opportunity, we will smarten up that BMW on that plastic cover. It's a bit grimy on this side, however, it is filthy here. But it will clean up, and I've seen far worse than this. And on something that's got 180,000 miles, that's not too bad. It is dirty in here as well, but I've looked at all of the cam lobes. They all seem fine. There's no major marking, scoring or anything. And this car is used. It is redlined often. Considering it's 180,000 miles, it looks fine in here. We're nearly at the halfway stage, which I mean is where we start to put it all back together. But you'll have already noticed we've had a couple of side quests. We've painted the plenum, we've vapor blasted and painted the rocker cover. But this final bit before we actually really start putting it back together is cleaning this gasket surface. Now this should be one of the easiest, most pleasant ones to do, because in reality it supposedly had a rubber gasket just against it, which we've peeled off. Points to note, there are two joins here which should have some RTV on to help to seal it, so you might have some there, and there's two half moons at the back which also should have some RTV on to seal, which you might need to clean off. And this would be the time, if you've spotted any of these threads are damaged, that you'd have fixed them, perhaps with a helicoil or whatever. They are notoriously weak, so when we come to put the cover on we will talk about that again. Just a bit of brake cleaner or something like that on a cloth. We've got an L-ring rocker cover gasket set. It's OEM quality, it's one of the better quality ones that you do find. And I think I mentioned before, it's got all the seals in for the rocker cover bolts. Now I've already cleaned these. I cleaned these in white spirit so that I got all the oil off, and it's best to cut these because if you can pull them off you're a better man than me. Getting these on might be a bit of fun, but I'm sure that something like GT85 will come to our rescue. Now I've actually left these out in the sun because they get a bit softer that way around, and they go on with the lumpy bit towards the thread. I find the easiest way is to coat these with GT85. Make sure you put it on the right way, not the wrong way, because if you put it on the wrong way, it really will wind you up when you're trying to take them off afterwards. 14mm socket. You get it nicely centered, and in we go. Nice and easy. Before I put the gasket onto it, and you'll notice now we've painted it, we're taking a bit more care. You saw that we vapor blasted this, and obviously there's grit. We did mask over the oil lines, but still didn't trust that. We've given it thorough cleaning, we've given it blasts of air repeatedly, and I'm going to confirm to myself that, you know, you can see they're all clear, and we've made sure there is no grit on this side of the rocker cover. So let's get the gasket on and get it onto the car. When you're reusing it, it all comes out at once, doesn't it? But anyway, I want a very thin smear between the timing cover and the block. There's two joins, just a little bit on there, that'll help the gasket. And where the half moons are, you fill the entire half moon with a smear going round and just up over the edges, just to help them seal. It can be a bit of a fiddle getting the gasket into the right place, and if you haven't got aircon you've got more room, and one of the things you could consider is removing these this electric tray just to give yourself a bit more room at the back. But the crucial thing is to make sure it's all in the right place, and by putting my hand behind here I can feel that my half moons with their little tabs on are in exactly the right place. So what I'm doing now is going round and I'm just loosely putting in all of the screws. Got all the screws in now, nicely nipped up. We've checked our half moons, we've checked the spark plug ones, all looking hunky-dory. So I'm going to torque it down now. Now these are steel screws into aluminium. They're very easy to strip, and I'm always nervous of this. The spec is 10 Newton meters. I'm going to go with 9. Now even though they're nipped down, there is that rubber washer for it to compress. There we go. Now what I'll do is I'll go in roughly a spiral, working my way out from the middle. That's the recommended way to try to spread the seal to the end and make it flat, not get anything caught in the middle. So my next one is going to be, I'm going to go up here, I think. So the next thing is that wiring tray down here, which has 2 bolts that hook into some slots on here. You won't be able to see it, because I can't either. Next I'll put in the HT lead distribution tray. If you remember, I made a note of which way the wires went into here, so I'll have to dig that out and see how it goes. Just clips in. I'll just have to fiddle them around a bit until I get them into exactly the right position. Mustn't forget to put my tool back. And the final part to go back on is this lovely cover. So that was the rocker cover gasket redone. It's not particularly a difficult job, can be a bit fiddly getting those half moons in at the back, but other than that, not a problem. We've even made the engine bay look even better by painting the cover for that and the plenum chamber. It's a lovely car, this. Can't wait to see what we do next with it. Do subscribe and give us a like.